Now, Johannesburg Mayor Kabelo Gwamanda has snubbed Action SA's demand to address fraud allegations against him during his State of the City address. The party threatened to table a motion of no confidence if he failed to do so. Newzroom Afrika's Dondani Takalani has more.
Whether or not he's fit for the job depends on who you ask. And while Kabelo Gwamanda has been praised by Al Jamaa and its coalition partners, opposition parties say he's out of his depth. Even after delivering his maiden State of the City address, Action SA maintains he can't be trusted.
He leads a big city, he leads a city with over 70 billion rands of budget. He must be someone without a questionable background and without a questionable financial background. Now these allegations are damning and they are too big for him to just let go of. He must take our residents into his confidence and make sure that he allays their concerns around his credibility.
Gwamanda's credibility was questioned as soon as he assumed office exactly a month ago. Former Mayor Dr. Mpopaladze says members of the public approached her, claiming he defrauded them through a funeral Ponzi scheme. Action SA says his failure to address the allegations head-on justifies its next move.
We will table a motion of no confidence because as Action SA we cannot sit back and allow an executive mayor to continue running our city with a questionable background, with allegations of fraud and having scammed our residents. And if he doesn't address those things, it is important for us to facilitate his removal.
Gwamanda hasn't responded to these developments after failing to show up for a confirmed studio interview with Newzroom Afrika. For Newzroom Afrika, Channel 405, I am Dondani Takalani.
All right, let's make sense of all of this for you now. Bring in governance expert, Professor Koma, who joins us, as you can see, via our video link this morning. Prof, it's great to see you. Thanks very much indeed for making time for this conversation. So, disappointing, uninspiring, in some instances, worrying. These are just some of the adjectives that people have used to describe the new mayor's maiden State of the City address. And, no matter how you see it, many will agree that optics do matter. So, as a start, are we justified in expecting, even just some level of standards when it comes to the first citizen of the city and ways through which they'll deliver an address like this?
Oh, yes. Thank you, Ayanda. Yes, in fact, it is good that as ordinary residents and also citizens, we expect our political leaders or public representatives to inspire confidence and also to give us a sense that they are up to the task and also they can hit the ground running in terms of addressing pressing socio-economic challenges that we're grappling with. So it is quite justifiable that in certain quarters of the city of Joburg, the executive mayor, Mr. Gwamanda, seem not to be providing that sense of inspiration and also confidence that he will be able to deal with these issues. But we should not read much into that because he's only a month into the job. He may try or have a sense that he still has a lot of things to learn in terms of governing the city. Bearing in mind that also Gwamanda is from Al Jamaa, and Al Jamaa is not the dominant partner within the coalition arrangement. This is the coalition arrangement engineered by the ANC and the EFF, and they are the ones that are basically dictating terms and also providing direction to the city executive mayor, that is Mr. Gwamanda. So he's leading the city at the behest of these coalition partners, that is the ANC and the DA. So the ANC and the EFF. So in short, he does not have any political clout to shape the governance of the city according to his wishes or authority granted to him as an executive mayor.
Yeah, I guess the obvious question then is, who's fooling who here, Prof? Because a big part of governance is accountability, and you would have expected some kind of engagement yesterday from this mayor, whether or not he's ostensibly put in that position. But yesterday, 4 MMCs were sent to engage our colleagues in the industry, and in fact, the mayor had an interview planned with us here in studio last night, which he seemingly snubbed.
Yeah, that's quite unfortunate on his part. He should be seen to be interacting with a whole range of stakeholders, including the media fraternity, because he needs the media fraternity to provide him with the opportunity to spell out his vision and also to outline the key priorities that his administration intends to fulfill going forward. So I think it was poor judgment on his part in this instance, because he requires a whole range of stakeholders to be able to deliver on his promises and also priorities.
Yeah. He made concessions around, the poor state of the city's finances. In fact, also echoed some of the plans made by the Premier of the province to essentially bolster crime fighting by deploying an additional 2,000 wardens to fight crime in Johannesburg. But I wonder whether anything stood out for you that really inspired confidence here, Professor Koma. In a sense that this is a person with new ideas, even if, once again, he's just the face of what's really taking place in the city. As somebody who was watching, did you reckon that you walked away feeling like things are about to turn around?
Yeah, thanks for that, Ayanda. 3 issues are key highlights for me, flowing from his State of the City address of the city of Joburg. 1, the issue of crime. He has outlined strategies on how to tackle the issue of crime facing the city. We all can attest to that, to say without ensuring the safety and security of the residents of the city, especially in the inner city, the townships and the urban centers, the city will continue to grapple with a whole range of other challenges that accompanies the element of crime in our country and in the context of the city. 2, I'm glad that he flagged the issue of energy security, to say they intend to invest in the construction of a solar plant that would be part of ensuring appropriate energy security in the context of the city. We know that there are always sporadic protests, especially in townships like Soweto, as a result of the issue of electricity crisis. So I'm glad that he touched on that, and also he has stated plans in terms of expanding the energy sources as part of ensuring energy mix that the city has prioritized, and also flagging, very important, the issue of strengthening intergovernmental relations between local government, provinces, or the provincial government of Gauteng and the national government. And a classic case on this is, if you look at the water crisis facing Hammanskraal, which is part of the city of Tshwane, at the core of that crisis is this failure of these 3 spheres of government to be able to coordinate, streamline their planning, their allocation of resources, and ensure that there is a proper implementation of the rolling out of provision of quality water to the residents in all the respective metros in Gauteng.
Yeah, speaking about that intergovernmental relations, and collaboration more broadly speaking, as he was delivering his speech yesterday, Kabelo Gwamanda had heckling, presumably from the opposition, which caused him to sort of giggle awkwardly and have several pauses in his speech. What I'm getting to here is whether you reckon this man has the support he needs to get this right. He's not going to be able to do it alone, and perhaps not even just with the coalition partners who are in his corner.
Yes, I think the cloud hanging around him is this untested allegation that he defrauded certain individuals. But I wish to say that, you remember, Gwamanda cannot investigate himself. If indeed there is a clear case of fraud against Mr. Gwamanda, that is incumbent upon the law enforcement agencies to look into the investigation of this allegation, test the allegation, and arrive at a conclusion. But that is, I think, one of the issues that seems to be affecting his leadership going forward in terms of inspiring confidence and also having the ability to marshal all the political parties within the city of Joburg in terms of ensuring that the city is able to respond to the needs, the demands, the interests, and expectations of the residents.
Yeah. Many people are watching all of this unfold and asking the question, what is the end game? Do you reckon you're able to answer that question yet, Prof? I mean, you've already told us that your reading of the situation here is that what we saw yesterday was not a speech from a man in charge, but someone who was deployed, really, at the behest of the real players behind the scenes who we're yet to hear from openly, at least. So with that in mind, where do you reckon this is all going in a context where even Kabelo Gwamanda himself has admitted that coalition politics in the city have been turbulent?
Yes, of course, his tenure is not guaranteed. So a motion of no confidence against him is likely to be tabled at any time. He's not the only one affected by this kind of turbulence. And this is the point that we have always advanced, that in the absence of a governance framework underpinning coalition arrangements, we are likely to see this constant political merry-go-round in the composition of municipal councils going forward. We have seen that lately in the Nelson Mandela Metro, where the executive mayor from the DA was ousted. There is now a looming motion of no confidence against the sitting speaker of the city of Tshwane. So this is what we are likely to see in the next couple of months, because there's no clear-cut framework that governs these coalition arrangements. We don't have a sense what are the agreements they've entered into, what is entailed in those agreements, and also how they intend to ensure that there is stability at the level of council and also at the mayoral level. I'm glad that the latest local government audit outcomes report tabled by the Auditor General last week in Parliament also flags the issue of instability at the council and mayor level in the city of Joburg as having contributed to these accountability regressions and also hampering decision-making and approvals that are required to ensure that strategic and operational matters that are supposed to be handled by the city have since been delayed.
Absolutely. Professor Sam Koma, great to have your take on this Wednesday morning. Really appreciate your time. Professor Koma is a governance expert.